Hello, welcome. I'm so glad you could join me today. I am super excited and I want us to chat as we do this. So, today we're going to discuss this book that I just finished reading. And I'm just going to share with you a few of the highlights that you can use to make your work and your life easier, more effortless, and lighten the load where you need to. So today is a really good day. And because we're doing this live, I would love to hear from you in the chat. So let me know in the chat. Let me know that you're here, that you've tuned in. I can see we've got some people who've come in. So let me know if you're here. Let me know what your name is in the chat. I hope you've got your tea or coffee or hot chocolate as we get started, right? Cool. So let me know in the chat. Let me see. Who do we have here? Okay, so in the interest of time, let me get started. All right, so I finished reading this book, Effortless, and this book is written by Greg, who is the same author of the book Essentialism. And if you haven't read Essentialism, I really recommend it, as well as reading this, because Essentialism talks about, in a nutshell, how to prioritize and make the things that need to happen, the things that are important, that will help to move the needle in your business or your life forward, to make them a priority, how to say no to the things that you really should be saying no to. And this is a follow-up where it says that make it easier to do what matters most. So essentialism is how to do the things that matter most. And then this is how to make them easier. So there are a number of things that I took out from this book that I want to share with you, because it was really exciting reading it and learning some of the things that you can use as well, which is why I want us to have this session, so that I can share some of this with you, right? Cool. So let me get started with the first one. First, let me see. Can you hear me? Could you let me know, give me a 9 in the chat if you can hear me, just so that I know that audio is working and everything is working well. Can you hear me? Give me a 9 if you can see and hear me. Give me a 9 and then I can begin with the first tip. Awesome. Ultimate trading. Thank you. Awesome. All right. So let me start. I know I'm standing in between you and lunch on a Friday, so I'll make this short and sweet. The first is, so one of the things he talks about, which I picked up, is that there's a quote here where he actually says, when you focus on what you lack, you lose what you have. When you focus on what you have, you get what you lack. And a lot of the times I've found that we tend to complain about things, whether we're complaining about the weather, whether we're complaining that, there's too much traffic, or complaining that something is not going your way. But what complaining does is it actually makes things harder for you. Because when you complain, while you're in that energy space of complaining, you're now adding an extra burden to yourself. So it makes things harder for you. So the best thing you can do is what Greg says, where you focus on what you have. So being grateful and looking at the things that you have, that will help lighten the load and help you work towards the things that you don't have. Because if you spend a lot more time on that, then it just means that instead of doing this other work, you'll focus more of your energy on looking at the things that you don't have. And funny enough, because misery loves company, you will always find people who will join you in the bandwagon of complaining. And that's something that I've found as well. It's easier to find people, if you want to complain, it's easier to find people to complain to than it is to find people to celebrate with. So if you want to complain, there'll be a lot of people complaining. But are they moving forward? No. You want to move forward and you want to do it effortlessly? Start looking at the things that you need to be grateful for and start working towards what it is that you want to have, as opposed to complaining about its lack. Right? Cool. All right. So that was the first one for me. And then the second one is really powerful because it's something that I do very often. So sometimes I find myself like I'll find, let's say, one day where I start working, say at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I really work and I get a lot of stuff done. And the entire day I'm like busy working. I can barely have lunch. 4 o'clock is when I remember that I haven't eaten. And then I eat quickly at my desk, and then I get back to work and I get a lot of stuff done. But then there's a point at which it's taking me longer to complete certain tasks, or I have to keep going to correct what I'm doing in order to move on. So it's taking me, it's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. 3 steps forward, 1 step back. So eventually I'm regressing. Over time, I'm just getting worse and worse. And I've found that when I have days like that, the next day I can barely think. The next day it's just really hard. My brain is cloudy. My creativity is low. My motivation is low. And I'm usually in a bad mood even the next day. So his tip, the second thing that I really loved about what he wrote is he said, do not do more today than you can recover from before tomorrow. So that means that if you're doing any work, anything that you're doing, make sure whatever you do, you don't burn yourself out and push and push and push and do a transniter that will then require you to recover for days on end. And this was actually seen by the first guys who decided to go and explore the North Pole. They had never explored the North Pole. And when they decided to do it, there were 2 teams that did it. I think one team was from Britain and one was from Canada, if I'm not wrong. And what happened with one team, the British team, is that they really worked, because it's a gruesome journey and nobody had done it before. They really pushed. So every day they would push until the brink, until the point at which they were exhausted. And then they would sleep, and the next day they would start the cycle again. And this other team, the Canadian team, decided that they were only going to do 15 miles a day. No more, no less. If the weather was good, they did 15 miles. If the weather was bad, they did 15 miles and they stopped. This other team, the British team, would do like 45 miles. They would push, they would go. This team that's doing 15 miles was just doing the 15 miles. Even if they had the energy to go further, they would stop. And guess what happened? The Canadian team got there and got back safely. The British team suffered through the entire process, got there only to discover they were not fast. They were 45 days late, later than the team that had just been crawling along 15 miles. They had worked themselves to a point where they could not recover as well. So they were then making probably bad decisions in the process. It was harder for everybody. And by the time they were trying to get back, they all died along the way. Exhaustion, frostbite, hypothermia, and complete demotivation. So don't do more today than you can recover from today before your day starts tomorrow. Because tomorrow you're going to do just as much as you can recover from tomorrow and no more. And I thought that was so powerful because I myself do this all the time. I will work, I will strive, I will push, and I'm like exhausted by the end of the day. But what I didn't realize is that I'm getting less done in 1 week when I have 3 of those days, because then I'm taking longer to recover. And like the Canadians who just did enough and got there 45 days earlier, I want to get there 45 days earlier or more. So this is something that for me was super powerful, and it's something I would encourage you to look at yourself and ask yourself on those days when you're really striving to do more and to work more and you're pushing, just stop and ask yourself, hey, and this will tie into the next point. Hey, how will I be able to recover from what it is that the stress that I'm putting myself through today? Or will I need more than a day to recover from this? Because you don't want to get to the end of the week and it's Friday and you're exhausted and burnt out, and the only energy you have to put out over the weekend is just literally to lie horizontal on the couch and flip through channels and do nothing else. Like, you want to be able to still have energy and to be consistent. It's kind of like the tortoise and the hare story, where the tortoise just plods along slowly, but keeps making progress, and the hare runs and zooms fast, goes and sleeps under a tree, and eventually the tortoise gets there before. Right? Cool. So look at yourself and see what is it that you're like. Don't push yourself too much. Take breaks in between. Actually, that's another thing he recommends. Don't work for more than 90 minutes at a time. And when you do, take a break of at least 15 minutes in between. If you can, take a break in between the 90 minutes, like even if it's a 5-minute break, and then go on. And sometimes this break can be something as simple as just have a cup of tea, or just go outside and take a walk around the building for 5 minutes. And when you come back, you've got renewed energy. And now you're able to get more done, right? Cool. So I'm with you. Awesome. Cool. All right. So the next thing that I thought was really powerful. Are we together to that point? Just let me know in the chat. Let me know what, like, did that resonate with you? Which of the first 2 tips resonated with you? So is it the fact that the complaining part and how complaining just makes the load heavier? Or is it not doing more today than you can recover from before tomorrow? So let me know in the chat. And if you have any questions, hey, feel free to ask or comment. And then, we make this interactive, because like right now, I'm not seeing too many comments and I'm wondering, gosh, I don't feel like I'm lecturing. This is a conversation. So I would love to hear from you in the chat section. Cool. So let me know in the chat section as I go to the 3rd tip. I really like this one as well. So it was on defining what done looks like. So whenever you're starting a project or you're starting to do a task, sometimes there's a lot of ambiguity around what the project or the task when completed looks like. And all right, yeah, Kanyi, awesome, yeah, thanks. The 90 minutes and then take a break. It's really important. And even if you still have energy to keep pushing, it's good to take a break, because your body will only show you the strain after you've overexerted it. It's like when you're thirsty, by the time you're thirsty, you're already dehydrated. So your body, you need to keep drinking water so that you don't get to the point of dehydration. So that's like, a tip to offer you is that don't wait until the point you're exhausted for you to take a break. Don't wait until the time you're full for you to stop eating. Don't wait until the time you're thirsty for you to start drinking water. Right? They're all related. Okay, awesome, Fred. Good stuff. So yeah, I was talking about having the end in mind, like knowing what the end looks like whenever you start a project or whenever you start a task. So let's say, for example, you want to build a new website. Let me use that as an example, because one time when I was building a website, I didn't fully know what the end looked like. And what I did is I just kept adding new things and adding new things and adding new things and new functions. And then I would go over the weekend, see other websites, get a new idea, add it. And it took forever to finish this website. If I had decided when I started the project what the end looks like, what done looks like, what the website will look like, a place where people can get information about what I do, where they can see testimonials or evidence about the quality of my work, where they can reach out to me, so a place with contact information, and that has a blog or a place, a video blog or a vlog or a blog where I can post articles and information that people will appreciate on it. That's it. All these other functionalities could have been in a second phase. But if I had been very clear in the beginning that this is what I want, then everything else I would have put in a second phase list, as opposed to when we are halfway through this, then I'm like, oh, let's add a new tab for this. Oh, I saw this really cool feature. Oh, can we have a carousel? Oh, can we have, it would have helped me get this project done with more clarity, less frustration, avoid going over the timeline, avoid going over budget, and I avoid frustrating the person who was doing it for me at the time. So define what the end looks like for you. Sit down and write like the bullet points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what the end looks like. The end will look like 1, I'll have X. It will help me get this. It will, like, these are the points that this is what the end looks like. These are what I want. If it's functionality for a website or for something that you're working on, this is what I want. I want to have this YouTube live where at the end of it, you've picked at least one thing that you can apply today that will make your work effortless and fun. So that's my point. Like, at least you have one thing. I'll share a number of them, but at the end, if you take one, that will have met my objective. Your objective for attending this is perhaps picking out a number of things that will help lighten the burden of your work. And if you pick one thing, great. If you pick 2, bonus. So have that objective of what the end looks like whenever you're working on something, whenever you're starting a task. And to tie in the next tip that I'm going to share with you is celebrate that milestone. Celebrate it when you get that thing done. So have a clear picture of what the end looks like, then come up with something that you can reward yourself. And that thing can be, like, for me, I love ice cream. I walk to Snow Cream to get ice cream because I've taken my daily walk. Like, I work out and I earn the ice cream that I'm going to binge on when I, at the end of the walk. And that's the reward. It could be tea. It could be a walk. It could be a phone call to somebody you've not talked to who you enjoy talking to. It could be something like, okay, who could it be actually? Tell me in the comments, what are some of the things you reward yourself? Because I'm giving you some of the ones I use, but I would be so interested to pick some of the ones that you use. Then I can learn a couple of ways I can reward myself. So I love, there's some people who I really love to talk to. So at the end of a task, I call them up and we can have like a nice extended conversation where, we catch up and just talk about like everything and nothing at the same time. Sometimes it's lunch, like I'll order food from one of my favorite places and order takein as a reward for completing a particular task. Of course, the bigger the task that I completed, the bigger the reward. So yeah, let me know in the chat section, what are some of those things that you currently reward yourself with, or that you're going to start rewarding yourself with? Yeah, let me know in the chat section. That's going to be cool to hear. I can't wait to adopt some of yours. Yay. Okay. All right. Then another thing that I really liked was, yes. Oh, I absolutely love this one. So just before I go to that one, let me talk about a small one in between. And this one is on simplifying things. But just before I talk about simplifying, I've just seen Fred's written something. Oh, he takes ice cream as well every time, almost daily. Oh my gosh. During his regular walks, Fred, you and I should meet at Snow Cream for ice cream. Like I love Snow Cream is one of my favorites. And I think it's because I used to go there with my dad way back when I was a kid. And it's one of like those fond memories I have of him because he passed away years ago. And I just find myself like if I don't feel like taking a walk or working out, I tell myself, okay, let's walk to town. Let's go to Snow Cream and have ice cream. And suddenly the motivation comes right back up. So yeah, Fred, let's make that happen. Awesome. All right. So on to the next one. I still want to see who else is going to join Fred and I for ice cream, if ice cream's your thing, or just let me know what else that you like to do. Then the next one is on simplifying. And this was quite profound because he talks about how when Jeff Bezos was starting Amazon and the company was beginning to grow, and he was looking at the entire process of somebody being able to place an order. So he told his head of tech, like, we need to find a way where it's easier for people to place an order and get their items. And at the time, you can imagine this was way back when he was pretty much like a trailblazer when it comes to online shopping. So there was no one else doing better than what he was doing. They were all pretty much the same. But he kept saying, we need to make it that people just click one button and they order. One click order is what they called it. And his tech guy said, it can't be done. Nobody's doing it. And he's like, no, we need to find a way to do it. So they worked on this thing where they worked on reducing the complexity within the steps. So the step was, you go to the store, you log in, you look at the stuff, you put the items in the cart. Then when you're checking out, you enter your address, or before you even put items in your cart, you now have to enter your details, like your location, where your items are going to be delivered. And then you go to check out, and then you enter your card, and then you go to check out, and then so there was like 6 steps before somebody checks out. And Jeff Bezos was just like, no, we need to make it like one click order. One click and you order. And it reminds me of Steve Jobs, who also said that I'm going to create a phone where in like 2 clicks, you get the thing you want. If you want to listen to music, 2 clicks and you start listening to your favorite music. So these great minds are people who looked at simplifying things. But here was the trick. When Jeff Bezos' team came back, they came back with a simplified version of what they had before, but it was still not one click. It's like of the 6 steps, we have made them simpler. But Jeff was like, no, remove the steps altogether. Don't simplify them. Get rid of them. When somebody logs in, they put the item in the cart, they click a button that says order. The end. And their order is placed. So what do we need to do to make that happen? And they made it happen. And Amazon is where it is today. And guess what? They even patented the one-click order. And it's part of why Amazon was so successful, because no one could use that one-click order process that he had trademarked, because he found an easier way for people to buy things, as opposed to them going through 6 steps. As opposed to simplifying the steps, he looked at eliminating the steps altogether, which I thought was brilliant. Because sometimes we do things without thinking, is that step actually necessary? Is it necessary for you to go to the supermarket to buy your groceries? Is there a faster way? Like what I did yesterday when I needed to order groceries. I go online, open, log in, put items in my cart, pay for them, and they're delivered to my door. I don't need to drive out, go look for parking, go get a trolley, try and find out where, you moved the rice. Oh my goodness, which till has less people. I eliminate all those steps and I'm left with 2 steps. open a browser, log into my account, place the items, and order. Done. And my items come to my door. So what steps can you remove altogether to simplify your customer journey, to simplify your life? Do you need all the steps that you take when you're doing something? Or can you eliminate instead of simplifying the steps altogether? So that's around simplicity. It's a simpler version of simplicity. Like instead of saying, if you're always going to meet clients, going for client meetings, and I used to say this all the time before COVID, I'm like, guys, we don't need to keep having meetings. Could we just have a Zoom call? And people loved meetings. Today, everyone does Zoom and we're all happy with it. But there was a time when it was an uphill task to get people to realize that we don't need the inconvenience of organizing a meeting room, of traveling and parking and the costs and the traffic, and the fact that if you have one meeting on Mombasa Road and another one on Westlands, your day is gone. Now you can have 6 back-to-back Zoom meetings, and you're fine, which means that you can actually see more clients, which means you can have more deals, which means you can serve more people rather than physically going to a location to do this. So what steps can you eliminate in your life to make your life easier, to make your life effortless? And guess what you can do with that time? Come with Fred and I for ice cream. Right? Like simplify your life and free it so that you can do the things that you love to do. Hang out with your friends, sleep, watch a movie, do something interesting, clear out your inbox, like free your time. And that's so important, because if left unmanaged and unmonitored, your days become like this. One day looks like the next. And because you've not really been reviewing and wondering, why do I do this, like every day? Why do I have to think about what to cook for lunch every day, and what to have for breakfast every day, and what to wear every day? Why can't I have a menu where I know what I'm going to have for lunch? I don't have to think. I just look at the menu and I'm like, oh, today's spaghetti. Cool. The end. I don't have to think about that decision. Leave that decision for something more important. Like, how am I going to market my business better? What kind of content am I going to create that's going to be more attractive? How do I reach more people? What partnership avenues are there? What opportunities are there to partner with other people to grow my business? Free time for that's important stuff. What to eat? Pre-plan that on a Sunday. Cook your dishes if you have to and store them in the fridge. Name them Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. If it's maybe not that great to have 7 days of stale food, but you can do like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Put them in containers in your fridge. You don't have to think. Monday, pick the Monday container, done. Tuesday, pick the Tuesday container, done. And then if you want to cook on a daily basis, you don't have to think. Just create a menu of your favorite dishes. Put it there next to your fridge or in your kitchen, so that when it's lunchtime, you know what to cook. When it's dinner, you know what to cook. If you have a maid, she knows what to cook. She's not asking you every day, Mama, leo tutapika nini? Eliminate those steps and that process. Make it easier. Don't shop if you like to go to the supermarket, don't shop every day. Stop, or every week. Put one of the things I do, which has been brilliant, I've done this for years, is I have a shopping list, one of those fridge magnet shopping lists on my fridge. When I'm running out of something, I write it on the list. My cleaning lady, when something is running out in the house and she realizes, she writes it on the fridge. So, and the rule is, don't write it when it's finished. Write it when it's about to get finished, when there are about 2 weeks left of the item. Then at the end of 2 weeks, pick my list, go online, order my items. I never have to order or forget the things that are running out. I never have to order things that I don't need because I can see on my list this, and I just keep building up that list. And it's the most efficient thing I have done to save myself from buying unnecessary things and running out of things like toilet cleaner and tissue paper and soap and yogurt, because I love yogurt. Like I find myself, I write it on the list: coffee, tea. Oh, I'm having today I'm having Kericho Gold vanilla tea. It's one of my favorites, by the way. So, tea, I never have to run out of tea because I put it as soon as I'm halfway through the packet, I write it on the list because I know I'm going to need it in another 2 weeks. And that will save you tons of time and make your life more effortless so that you can save that time to do the fun stuff, right? That's what I love about saving time. Like, I spend more time doing fun stuff because I save myself from doing repeated tasks over and over and over again. So I find efficient ways of getting rid of things so that I can free my time to do the things that I really enjoy to do. Awesome book. So yeah, and I've even got like highlights, I've got notes on the side from all the ideas that I started to get when I was reading this book. And that's why I wanted to share them with you, because I want you to also make your life more effortless and make your life more fun. And if there's something, again, as I said, that you can get out of this that will do that for you, that'll make me happy. Let me see. Rose. Yes. Cool. Okay. Yeah, I see. Oh, no one's told me about their other favorite things. Let me know in the chat section. Let me know what some of those things you're going to do. You're going to do are. Kanye asks that I share the template. Tell me more. A template for what? For the menu, for shopping? Which one? Let me know in the chat. Cool. So the last one that I have is, the last tip is one that I thought is really cool, because it talks about it's kind of, anyway, it talks about, I was going to say it's related to what I had talked about earlier, but it's its own way of automating things. So here he talks about like free up space in your brain by automating as many essential tasks as possible. Use checklists to get it right every time without having to rely on your memory. So sometimes when I'm working on, let's say, a YouTube live, if I have a YouTube live or I'm making a YouTube video, actually, in fact, for my YouTube videos, every time before I upload and make the video public, I have a checklist that I use. So it's on Excel, and it makes sure that I do everything that I'm supposed to do to upload that video correctly. So things like, I've got the description, I've got the headline, and I've done my research on the headline, because your headlines are also important in terms of how your videos will, the click-through rate for your video. So I've selected a headline and done research on that headline. I've selected keywords to make sure that it's easier for people to find either a playlist or the video that's going to follow. You know how when you finish watching a video and they're like, hey, there's another video that's relevant, or another video that will expound on this topic more, or that you like. So I've put that as well. I have added the playlist. I've pinned a comment. So I also pin a comment before I go live. So I put a comment like what it is that I would like, and then pin that comment. So everything. I've got an entire, in fact, how many items are these? These are like 30 items of items that I check every time I'm about to upload my YouTube video. And it has made my YouTube posts consistent. Like, if you look at my videos and you look at my channel, you'll notice that there's a certain consistency on the videos. I don't have to think, did I remember to, oh no, I forgot in this video. All the videos since I started using this checklist, have the same standard format followed on all of them. The thumbnail, how I do the thumbnail, how many letters are on the thumbnail, it's also strategic, because if I put too many words on the thumbnail, then people won't click on it because it confuses you. So all these things I've put on a checklist. What checklist do you need to create for something that you do repeatedly? Is it a checklist for how you end your day? Is it a checklist for how you start your day? Is it a checklist for how you host meetings or arrange a meeting? Like the agenda, what items must be on an agenda for a meeting to take place successfully? And it doesn't have to be 30 items like my YouTube video upload. It can be 5, just 5. And the interesting thing about this is there's a doctor he's written a book called the Checklist Manifesto. Really great Indian doctor who helped save so many lives. It's incredible, by creating checklists for Indian doctors. Because these checklists, before they were being used, there was such a high death rate of, I think, children. I think he used to specialize. He might have been an OBGYN, and he used to be in the, like when women give birth, and there was no checklist being followed. So you'd find that sometimes they leave certain things undone. They forget to take out certain things. They forget to do certain things. And it's been like that checklist that's been used in India. It's been used around the world. He even wrote a book. Even the Heart Association of, I think it's America. I hope I'm not butchering some of these facts. But if you want, you can get more information in the Checklist Manifesto. And even the Heart Association implemented this thing where it's a checklist of vitals that will help prevent accidental deaths from not catching a heart attack that's coming in, let's say, 6 hours. So things like, even if somebody's vitals are fine, things like slurry speech, extreme exhaustion, there's something they look for in your vitals that indicates that there's a problem, so that they can raise a red flag early enough. And it's these checklists that have helped reduce the number of people who are dying of heart attacks, reduce the number of children and mothers who are dying during childbirth, reduce the number of accidental surgeries where the problem is on the left knee, they operate on the right knee, because nobody went through the checklist to figure out that, do we have the x-rays for the right, which knee, like, because everything has to be written on the checklist, so that you're not spending your brain trying to remember a list of everything that you need to check. You're spending your brain giving this patient the best treatment. And what other industry has used this the most successfully? Aviation. No pilot will fly a plane before they go through the checklist and make sure that the things they have been looking at for 30 years, this pilot has been flying for 30 years, they will still go through that checklist and tick off everything on the checklist before they take off, before that plane starts to taxi. And you've seen it in movies. Before they start, they're like, no, check, check, check. It's mandatory for every pilot. So what checklist can you create for yourself? If you're manufacturing something, have a checklist, like a recipe. And a checklist can be, like, even a recipe is a checklist. 50 grams of this, 30 grams of that, 2 cups of this. That's a recipe. That makes sure that there's standardization, so that you don't forget the one item that's only a small amount, but is a key ingredient to the flavor that you need from the food. So same thing, you're making, let's say you manufacture something. Do you have a checklist so that even when you're not around, all people have to do is just follow this thing, and you don't have to always be there? You can hand it over to somebody else. So having a checklist is a great way for you to automate that process. So automating some of these things that you don't need to do all the time. You don't need to like always have your conscious brain thinking about things that you've been doing over and over again. Use your conscious brain to come up with new ideas, things that are going to help you progress. Not to think about the thing that you did yesterday and now you have to remember, oh yeah, oil filter, check, this, check, before a trip, tire, check, or water, check, oil, check, fuel, check, whatever you need to do, check. Make these checklists like a standard practice for you to do the things that you do all the time repeatedly, so that you prevent crashes, heart attacks, and other similar issues in your life. So that's what I got from this. So I'm really happy. That's really cool. I'm happy I'm seeing the comments. Kanye, my shopping template is just my list of things that are running out. So it will be different for you as well. It could be whatever it is that's running out. And I wish if I knew I was going to talk about this shopping list, I would have brought my shopping list so you can see. But it's like a narrow little notebook with a fridge magnet thing. So you just stick it on your fridge. And then I have one of those. So you can have either a pen or a pencil, because when you write upside down with a pen, at some point it will stop writing. So I have one of those upside down like pens that hangs, that's also got a fridge magnet on the fridge. Or you can just use a normal pencil and just put it there. So anytime something is running out, just, your cleaning lady or man just writes. Anybody who's running out, the kids write. So everybody just adds to the list. And they know that you're not going to shop during the week. You're just going to shop when this list gets to a certain point. That's when you're going shopping. If there's anything here that you need urgently, you go buy it yourself, or, we'll find a way to eliminate it if we have to. But get to the practice of not doing some of those things that are wasting your time that you could be using to do the things that you really enjoy, and you're using them on going back and forth into supermarkets. So yeah. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. And I'm so happy that you stayed with me until this point. And thank you so much for listening and for sharing your tips. And Fred, you and I don't know how we're going to connect, but we need to connect for ice cream. And I'm really excited to do that and catch up, talk about life and business and what's your favorite tip. So let me know actually in the comments below which of these I really resonated with you, which of these is the one that you're going to take away from today, so that at the end of it all, I also get to know and to see that the objective that I had for this session is met. Because that's the one thing, I really just want you to get that one thing. I share all these things, but even if you get one, I'm happy. Make progress on one. Tomorrow you might come back having made the progress and then say, let me pick a second one, and then I can do that one. So it is awesome. Where can you buy the book from? So I bought this from Bookstop. Maraba, yeah. I bought this from Bookstop, and you can see it's 2,250. So that's where I got it. It's brand new. It's actually a 2021 release. So yay, I know. I can't wait. Man, this guy's books, as soon as I saw he had a new book out, his books are always so valuable. And let me also just mention something that was what really touched me when I finished reading this book, is his daughter. At the end of it, he says that he now gives us the story of his daughter, who was this vibrant girl called Eve, tomboy. She was full of life, always laughing. One day when she turns 14, suddenly she's getting tired. She's not talking so much. And her health just starts to take a nosedive. And they got between one specialist and another. They could not figure out what was wrong. They had no diagnosis, multiple tests. She ends up she's just getting worse by the year. And as he wrote this, he's he said, if this was a Disney movie, this is the part where I tell you that everything worked out well, but we're still on the journey. And she's much better than she used to. She has her good days and her bad days, but we made the decision to lighten the load and make it easier by deciding to stop some of the things like complaining or blaming God or asking questions with no answers. We stopped trying to force things to happen. We stopped looking at the bad and trying to find what we could do that was good. So instead of looking at the fact that she was in pain, would look at what can we do. I'm talking on behalf of Greg, would look at what can we do to make that easier instead of focusing on the pain. So they would go as a family and play the piano or take a walk or go cycling. Like they shifted their focus from looking at the illness as something to be attacked and pushed to, hey, let's make sure that we have enough energy to keep going. If this disease is with her for the next 10 years, let's not burn out because we'll not be helping her. So they decided, let's conserve our energy and let's do what we can each day. And over that, she's been able to make progress, and the family has been able to help support her in the process. And that was the most important thing. And then he writes this book. And it's incredible when you read that and you're thinking, what do we complain about every day? Such little things when somebody is dealing with his daughter who's going through this debilitating illness, which is still undiagnosed. Like, it's even worse knowing what is ailing you, but not knowing what is ailing you is even worse. So yeah, so get this book. Bookstop's one of the places. I don't know anywhere else where, I haven't looked anywhere else where you can find, but yeah, Bookstop is at Yaya Center. Oh yeah, yes. So Bookstop's at Yaya. So thank you so much. I'm so glad. I'm grateful for your questions. I'm grateful for your participation and for your attention. And as always, I will see you at the next video. I will have another video out on Tuesday. So stay tuned, subscribe to this channel, and like this video if you did enjoy it. And tell me more about what it is that you're going to do at the end of this. And I will see you the next time. Bye. Yay.